but you have a bend in there as well. Gonna get started.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And Ronny Hölzel is on his way. You can see the dummy, team dummy in the second. And we're on the way. Ronny Hölzel is on the way, and as you can see, with the double-decker bus going through that narrow lane, and it's the first bend they're coming through, and you can see that cones here, and those yellow or greenish traffic cones. If he touches them, it's 25 points he loses. If he drives over it, one of them, it's 50 points he loses. If he drives over the base of that cone, you can see that it has a cylinder going up and a base down there. If he drives over the base, that's allowed. See, I mean, what he did right at the moment, that's allowed. He doesn't lose any points for that, but he's not allowed to touch the cones themselves. You can see all the referees around it, watching what Ronny is doing, and I think Ronny has to keep in mind that the time is running. Time is running, and that is tight, a tight spot. The last turn he has to take, and then he is standing in front of two barrels. You cannot see those two blue barrels right in the moment, but you will see them in the moment. And he has to measure or show somebody, a helper, how far those two barrels have to. So, here's the dummy driver. Okay, so the driver of Team Dummy is in the second bus already. That's what I've seen and what I've heard. So he's a bit faster. And these are the two barrels, I said. And Ronny has told the people how far they have to move those barrels from each other so he can drive through there. And Ronny is done with his first vehicle, running to the second one. That's the electric bus. And now we get to the third challenge, turning on a very tight spot. Turning on that very tight spot. Team Dummy is trying his best already to turn the bus. How many strokes you use, that's all up to you. So he's driving into that very small square. The square, you can see that with the red cones. And now he has to turn the bus. 12 meters long is that bus. And the square is not much bigger. It looks like maybe 16 meters to 16 meters. And no, he didn't touch the cone there. So that was the first, second stroke. Team Dummy is driving out already, and Team Dummy is in the slalom now. So Team Dummy is going to be a bit quicker, but that doesn't matter to Ronny, because whatever they do, it doesn't count. It's just a dummy team. And Ronny seems to have a bit difficulties turning that bus. I can understand it. I mean, I got difficulties turning my car, and this is only a Fiat 500. So when I imagine driving a 12-meter bus on a tight spot like that, you can see that those green cones that are in the end of the square, and he has to get through the bus through there. That is the exit. When he entered the square, he has to exit the square as well. And here he is, getting around it, taking close looks. Only allowed to use the rear, the rear mirrors. And he is out. Ronny is, oh no, he's not. So he's going to lose points here. But the more important thing is not to touch any cones when he goes through that slalom, because when he does, he loses all of the points. And this is more important in the moment. Wherever you go, all the other challenges, if you hit any of the cones or something, no, it doesn't matter. You lose points, but it's not so bad. But if you do it in the slalom, all the points are gone. So he's done here, and now we come to the exact stop. He comes to that bus stop that we built on the platform, and the second door, the rear door, he has to stop at the exact point. That looks very good. That is very good. And now the second challenge, how far away is he from the platform? Because that is the second thing, that you're not allowed to be too far away, but you're not allowed to be too close to it, so you might hurt anybody that could be standing there. So, well, maybe he was a bit far. All that is taken into account, and all the referees are talking to each other, and but he did very well with the exact stop. Those arrows, you've seen it now, one inside of the bus and one on the outside on the platform. And they were quite close, so that was, I would say, just estimated about 400 points. So that was it for the second vehicle. Getting out of the second one. Come on, Ronnie. Run, Ronnie. So now on the third bus, it's a normal diesel bus again. It's a two-axle, 12 meters long, as I said, and he has to go through that narrow lane again, just quite similar to the first one, but now backwards. So that means there's a bend in there as well. And come on, backwards gear is in. Let's go. And oh here, the second. I can see that the second team, Team Dummy, is going backwards already, and Team Dummy is done. Team Dummy is done. I cannot see the time from them, but maybe somebody will tell me. And here comes Ronnie. We have tried a couple of weeks ago when we have tried all the challenges here, and the fastest driver ever going through that course, it took him 4 minutes and 30 seconds. But to be honest, he didn't care if he drove over any of the cones or took the challenges like the exact stop, if he really did that. And so it was just going as fast as you could, and that was 4 minutes and 30. And if you do that, the 4 minutes and 30, you get 2,000 points just for the timing for the round. But I don't think that anybody can do that. And you have time up to 8 minutes, and you gain points for the timing of, for your speed going through the course. When you are under 8 minutes, you get some points for that as well. When you are over 8 minutes, no points. And it's a bit unfair to be the first. I can understand Ronnie, as he said, that he was really, really excited and that he felt the pressure. Here you go. Hey. Backwards, bit and bit. Doesn't want to drive over any cone. And you can see here, he's coming out of that first bend. Or out of the bend anyways. So it's a very narrow lane with a bend in it. And he's going backwards with a 12-meter bus. Jesus. That is so precise what he's doing. Couldn't do it with a cat car, I think. And he does it with a 12-meter bus. For time. Here we go. Here comes Ronnie. And you're done. So, we're waiting for the referee, waving his flag, and he is done, and the first contestant is through. Ronnie from Berlin, you did it. Now everybody has to do better if they can.
Aber auch spannend gemacht.
Oh, Ronnie.
Wie schlimm war das, als du gesehen hast, dass dein Kontrahent, ich sag mal, schon längst fertig war?
How bad was it to you to see that the other team was faster
Ich
than
habe
you?
eigentlich immer die anderen Busse irritiert, die wieder zurück auf ihren
I
Startplätzen
didn't look at that. I was a bit irritated by the other bus going back to
also
the
beim
starting
Doppeldecker habe
point.
ich mir ehrlich gesagt einfacher vorgestellt.
I thought it was easier to go with the double decker,
Hier bei
but
dem fand ich das
maybe
jetzt
Marek
gar nicht
was
so
right.
schwer.
That
Es
is
war
really hard to
mega
do.
präzise.
But you were so
Und
precise.
halt
Is that
mit
just
dem
it?
Elektrobus, bei dem Wenn ist halt das Lenken sehr schwer.
Yeah, and he said that the
Und unter
electronic bus,
vier Züge
the
ist, glaub ich,
e-bus,
nicht machbar.
it's very hard to
Wie
turn
viel hast du
that.
gebraucht?
Habe ich gar nicht mitgezählt, aber ich glaube 4, 5 oder
How many
so.
strokes did you
Ich sag mal 4. Hast du
said
hier
four.
eigentlich schon
It
jemanden
was
im
more.
Publikum gesehen, den du schon mal gefahren hast? Kann ja sein.
Have you seen anybody that you have
Keine Ahnung.
on your bus as a
viele.
bus driver?
Du hast es geschafft für heute.
You did it.
Wie fühlst du dich?
How do you
Ja,
feel?
erleichtert, dass ich es fertig habe. Jetzt kann
I'm
ich in Ruhe
relieved.
zugucken.
I'm relieved
Hängt
now. I
alles an
can
deiner
watch.
Partnerin.
Natürlich.
Du machst dir jetzt mega Druck wahrscheinlich hinter der Bühne.
Wahrscheinlich.
You
Kommt drauf
can't
an, wie die
talk
anderen
to your
Team
partner
jetzt
and
noch
give
abschneiden,
her the
dann
pressure.
gucken wir mal, wie sie startet.
Kannst du
you
genießen.
said, oh, well, that's-
Schön, viel Glück.
Dankeschön.
Good luck to you.
Die gute Nachricht, meine Damen und Herren, wir haben einen ersten Gesamt.
So,
Das ist das Team Berlin, das ist die BVB mit Ronny Hölze.
yeah. My colleague just said we have a leader, and that is Team Berlin. That is not hard to do if you're the only one that has started yet. And I can tell you the next two teams that are getting ready in the moment, that is Madrid and Lodz. Angel Valderas from Madrid in Spain, and Marta Kukulska from Lodz in Poland. So, as I just heard that the driver from Madrid, Angel, is not there yet.
Und ich höre aber gerade, Team Madrid ist
So,
so sind sie natürlich, ja. Real Madrid wird
but we learned from that first round, from that first challenge here, that Mr. Marek was right when he said he believes that the first challenge with the double-decker going through that narrow lane and going through those two barrels, he thinks that is the hardest challenge of all. And Ronnie just confirmed that. He said he thought it was much easier going through there, but it wasn't, and that took him a lot of time. But maybe other teams or maybe other drivers are more used to driving double-decker buses. And, are we ready? Angel is there, and Marta Kukulska is there as well. So, getting ready. Oh, you can see the excitement on his face. And Marta seems to be very, very relaxed and very soothed.
rechte Bahn. Ich muss mich korrigieren. Und links, da haben wir Marta Kukulska aus Lodz und wir freuen uns gleich über
So,
wieder 10 Sekunden.
now this is the first real challenge team against team, because as I said before, in the first round it was Team Dummy against Berlin, and now it's Madrid against Lodz, Spain against Poland, men against women. Let's see how they're gonna get started. So here's the countdown.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And the buses are on the way. Angel is on his way, and Marta is on her way as well.
Wir haben insgesamt 21 Teams bei dieser
And
ersten Bus-Europameisterschaft
you can see only one in the moment. One of the buses. Angel is on the right spot and on the right lane, and Marta is on the left one. And going through the narrow lane to that first one with the double-decker. So he hit the first cone. So, but he's going much, much faster than what he did. Angel is going much faster, and Angel is already there with the two barrels, hasn't moved, and he's driving through. And Marta is still on her way to the to that narrow lane with the double-decker bus. And he's done already. Angel is done already, leaving the bus. He's running for the second one, for the E-bus. Yeah, run, see? Something that Ronnie didn't do. Very good. And he's in. Marta is still fighting a bit with the double-decker bus. She's at the barrels now. But that doesn't mean anything, because even if he was faster, he drove over at least one of the cones. I've seen that. So that means he loses points. And he's taken his bus now to the turn on a very, very narrow spot. It's 12-meter bus, and I think it's a 15-meter square, 15 on 15 meters. So you don't have much space to maneuver that bus. And as Ronnie has pointed out, it's hard to steer. I don't know why it's harder to steer with an e-bus, but I'm not a bus driver. So, and now Marta is on her way to the e-bus already. Run, run, run. Hair's flying in the wind. Yellow doesn't stink, it says on this bus, because it's an e-bus. So he's gone backwards, not hitting the cones. Up, he did hit one cone already there. He's allowed to drive over one with the overhang. Oh, yeah, but he's not allowed to kick it or to run over it. When I say he's allowed to drive over, the buses have overhangs on the sides. And you can take your bus with that overhang. The small cones that you have the small cones on the floor, but you're not allowed to hit the cones. And he hit a lot of them in that tight square. Let's see if Marta does it better there. And if he it's one of the cones here at the slalom, there are no points. So Marta is still trying to turn that bus. Here comes Angel, getting ready for the precise stop. And it's not only that you have to stop the bus with the back door precisely at that arrow, but you have to get the bus and see. No, that doesn't look like any points, but I'm not sure. I couldn't see it from that angle. And now they measure out how far is he away from that platform, because that is measured as well. And the further away you are, you lose points, and if you are too close to it, you lose points. So you have to. This is why it's called an exact stop. Now he has to accelerate to 15 kilometers an hour, not seeing anything, not hearing anything. He just has to feel it. How fast is he going? Is it 15 kilometers or not? They measure it with a radar, and as I said before, it's an e-bus, so it's very silent. It's very quiet. You do not hear anything. You do not hear the motor when you accelerate, and you cannot see the speedometer. So it's really and how does it feel? Does it feel like it's 15 kilometers an hour or not? And Angel is on the third bus already. He's on the diesel bus, 12 meters long, going backwards now. It's the same narrow lane that we had at the first challenge with the double-decker bus, but now he has to go backwards here. And remember, there is a bend in between. It's not just going backwards a lane with a bus, it's going backwards a narrow lane with a bend in it. And here is Marta at the exact stop. And so we didn't see how she did here. Backwards, backwards, backwards. So he's going much slower than he did with the first challenge with the double decker. Much slower, much more careful. Ooh, he got one of those cones. I don't think that thing will survive now. Can anybody bring a new cone here, please? I think Angel is taking this as a souvenir. Taking the cone back home with him. So now... Ooh. What is he doing? Ooh, what is he doing? That doesn't look too good. Here comes the second cone. But as I said before, it's not that he loses the challenge here. He just loses points. For every cone that he brutally takes with him, as I can see now, he loses 50 points. I hope he doesn't have to pay them. Goodness, they're not looking good. And what is Marta doing? Where is Marta? Going backwards as well. Marta is coming. She's not that far behind. Going backwards. And Angel is done Well done. Madrid is done with the first round. And now we have to wait for Marta. Marta still going through the narrow lane here. Having some problems as well. Oh, here. Getting out the killed cones. That doesn't look that bad. Okay. So, well done, Angel. You did very well. But you can really see he's relieved. He's a bit disappointed maybe, but he is relieved. And Spanish TV is taking him for an interview already. You can be proud of yourself. And here's Marta coming. Going backwards. Oh, killing cones as well. Get your feet out of the way. Yeah, but to anybody seeing that, going, ooh, they're taking a lot of cones, remember, they're going backwards on a 3-meter narrow lane with a bus that is already 2 meters and 55 wide, backwards, not seeing anything but with their rear mirrors. They can't turn around like we do in the car and see what is going on, what is happening right behind us. No, they have to do it all kind of blind and only with their rear mirrors. And here she comes. But if you see that, that is precise work. That is really, really well done with a big vehicle like that. What's she doing now? Go on. It's only going straight now. Oh no, she's done. Oh, I'm sorry. She is done. Or no, they say you have to go more backwards. You have to go. See? So it was not my mistake. It was her mistake. I'm glad for that. Oh, you can see that now because there's a light barrier and that takes the time. You see that light barrier right behind the last two cones, and you have to get behind those light barriers. See, that's what they show them. You have to take the bus behind those light barriers. Go on, or the time is still running. Marta, you should run and take the bus there. Just a couple of centimeters, but you have to take the bus behind those light barriers or the time won't stop. There's no mercy because the computer takes that time, and the computers, they don't know something, a concept like mercy. So now she's done. No, she's not done. On, go further. Well, it looks like she has passed that light barrier, but maybe she hasn't. And these are the referees. They know better because they're just standing right in front of it, and we cannot see exactly from this angle. So, this is a bit of a fight now. This is a bit of a fight, and that's very sad because she could have be done minutes ago. Okay, so Marta is done now. And this is her applaud. This is her applaud. But that was sad. She could have get much better time. She would have realized that with that light barrier earlier. And you can see she's not happy with it. She's not that happy with it. Yeah. But this is, well, first time ever that we have a bus driver championship. So everybody has to learn a bit, even here on the event, and the bus drivers as well. So the next two teams are Milano and Budapest. It's Ciro Garofalo, and Gabriela Flamis from Budapest. So it's Hungary against Italy. Ciro Garofalo, Gabriela Flamis. But we cannot go yet. We still have to wait for the countdown. And this is because the third bus has to be taken back.
9, 8, 7, 6,
No, they still get started.
5, 4,
Okay.
3, 2, 1, 0.
And The third round has started.
Und da rauschen sie los und meine Damen und Herren, wir können schon mal ganz kurz auf die Tabelle
So,
gucken, auf die
the third team is on the way, or the third challenge has started.
70 Punkte von Ronny Hölzel.
Zero Garofalo against Gabriela Flores.
Und Martha aus Lodz, derzeit relativ abgeschlagen, 2700 Punkte auf Platz 3.
Let's see how they are doing. And they are taking it much more serious. You can see how Angel was driving through there with the double-decker bus. He was really quick, but he ran over quite a few cones there, and they're doing much slower, trying to be much more precise, taking that bend inside of that narrow lane. So, do not turn the wheel too early. There we go. Because it doesn't matter if the hangover of the bus, or the overhang as it's called, it's not a hangover, it's an overhang. The overhang of the bus, if that is over those small cones, that doesn't matter, as long as you don't touch the big ones. And you're not allowed to drive over with your wheel, driving over the smaller ones, the small cones on the floor. See, it's really narrow and not much space to maneuver. And they're quite... So here's the next one, moving the barrels, you can see that, and he has to tell them, yes, enough, go on, how far he wants to have it. So now he's given the sign, it's enough, and he's driving through, and that is well done. No, then it has to go all the way through. No? It doesn't? Okay. Well, they say it's done. If the referee tells him he can go, then he's got to go. And and Team Budapest is on the way as well. Gabriela is in her bus. It's the second bus here, on the E-bus, turning on a very tight spot. So they're quite close to each other. Gabriela is inside already, and it seems like Zero has some problems to start the engine. What's going on there? Hopefully it didn't run out of power. It's an E-bus, but well, the lights are on, so it should work. Yeah, works. He's going in, and Gabriela is turning the vehicle already. But keep in mind, as I said, 12 meters long. And that square there is not much bigger, and you have to turn that monster bus around. And she is coming out already. Almost getting there. See, and he is turning the bus now. And whoever turned a big car once, maybe on a tight parking space or something, knows what they have to go through in a moment. So, where's Gabriela? What is she doing? Still turning. Doesn't want to touch the cones. She did very well. Get out of there. So Gabriela's on her way to the slalom now. And Zero is still trying to turn the car. Seems like he has the vehicle. That car, it's a big car, a 12-meter car. So, and Zero, is he? No, it's not. That's not Zero. That's Gabriela again, going through the slalom, and already is there, getting to the point where she has to make an exact stop. The back door has to be exactly on the second door has to be exactly on that spot. Doesn't look that good. Doesn't look good. As you can see, there are two arrows. One is on the platform and one is on the inside of the bus, just exactly in the middle of the door. And when that door opens, that arrow should be, or those two arrows should be facing each other quite exactly. This is how you gain the most points. And 0 is coming out of the square now, driving into the slalom. And is not allowed to hit any cones. This is the tough thing about the slalom. You're not allowed to touch any cones, because if you do, no points for you. Tight turn here, while Gabriela is on her way. No, she's in the third bus already, and going backwards the narrow lane, while 0 is getting to the point where he has to do an exact stop. Exact stop here. Well, Gabriela is driving backwards already. Let's see how good she's here. Or how many cones she will kill. Ooh la la, going to the bend now. Taking a small turn. Well, 0 is still at the exact stop. So we didn't see how well he did, but he now has to accelerate the bus, getting up to 15 kilometers an hour. That's about 9 miles an hour. Without hearing or without seeing how fast he is going. And here he's done. Well, Gabriela is driving backwards. Slowly, slowly, steadily, very carefully. Taking not so many cones as Angel just did. She's not a cone killer. See, she's driving over the base of the cones, but that is okay. You're allowed to do that. If you drive over the base of the cones, that is not a problem. But you're not allowed to touch the cones like 0. Just was it 0? No, that was Gabriela. No, it's 0. I'm sorry. It's 0 hitting a coin. It's very hard to distinguish the both of them. You can see now, that is 0. Oop. We kill the cone. But as you can see, the leading team is still Team Berlin. And it's Madrid, and then it's Lodz. But that's not such a big surprise, but because these are the 3 teams that has been started yet. All the others are still waiting, or, as we have it here, Madrid and Lodz on the course. So here comes Lodz, and she is done. No, Budapest, I'm sorry. That was Gabriela Flames from Budapest. And that was quite a fast round. We will find out where she is when the computer gives us the results. And she got 7 minutes 58, so her timing still counts. As I told you, when you're faster than 8 minutes, then the timing, then you get some points for your timing as well. The most points you get when you do it under 4:30, which is almost impossible, as you can see in the moment. 0 still fighting with that narrow lane, with that course, getting that bus backwards through a very narrow lane. It's 3 meters broad, and the bus itself is 2.55 meters. So you have 45 centimeters divided through 2. That is, I don't know, something like 22 centimeters on each side, with the bus going backwards. Oh, that doesn't sound like fun. Well, I guess it's fun to them because that's a challenge, and they do that every day. It wouldn't be a challenge for me. I would be sweating and crying by now. See? But he's doing a good job. That is very precise what he's doing. Going backwards quite precisely. Slowly, slowly, steadily. That may cost him some points with the timing or the speed, but better than killing 2 or 3 cones. Is he driving over those red little cones? Doesn't seem like it.
Wir werden gleich dann mal schauen, meine Damen und Herren.
He's allowed to put the overhang of the bus over them, but not to touch them with the wheels. And here he comes. Here he comes. And his last little turn, and after that he only has to go straight forward. And he's not touching the cones. He's doing very well. That's a very precise, very safe drive here. He still has to go back, back, back until the light barrier comes and until the bus hits the light.
Gabriela aus Budapest hat auch abgeliefert und jetzt in diesem Moment auch Ciro Garofalo.
Zero is done. From Milano, Zero Garofalo. That was Team Milano. And now we will see maybe a new ranking. Oof. He seems a bit exhausted here. Oof. Well done, well done. That looks like hard work that he's doing. Really, really hard work. Very good. So we have a new rankings. The Berlin is still number 1, but Madrid is in number 2 now. And the next 2 to come will be Graz and Reykjavik. Helga Rauscher from Graz, Austria, and Sigurjón Gudnason from Iceland, Reykjavik. And those 2 getting ready, getting started, while the buses are driven back to the points where they're needed. And we still have to wait for the ranking and for the points. Because the referees, they have to talk to each other, they have to compare the points and then sum it up. And then it's all sent here to the Zentrale, as it's called in Germany, to the center here. And then the computer tells us who is best and who is not. So it seems like Berlin is still number 1. We're going to find out after the 5th run. So we should have a ranking then. Helga Rauscher from Graz and Sigurjón Gudnason, that's what we are waiting for. You see that, the bus from Reykjavik.
Time is X-10, 9,
Oh, and
8, 7,
excitement
6,
is
5,
building up.
4, 3, 2, 1.
They are allowed to loosen the brake and to start the engine while the red is on, while the light is on red, and so they can start when the green light shows. And so on the right side, it's Helga Rauscher from Graz in Austria. On the left side, it's Sigurjón Gudnason from Reykjavik. We cannot say a lot about Sigurjón Gudnason because he fell in for a mechanic that was sick, and he was fouled in for the very last minute. But Team Graz, Helga Rauscher, you can see her here. And I don't know if they have double-decker buses in Iceland or in Reykjavik. I don't know, maybe we should ask him. Helga Rauscher, and her hobby is driving a bus. That's what she said. Let's see how good she is in her hobby. But that must be a great feeling. When one thing that you love is driving a bus and you're a bus driver as a profession, and you're here comparing with lots and lots of other bus drivers from all around Europe in a championship, finding out how good you really are and what you have where you have to be better. And they're both doing it a bit more slowly. See? Helga Rauscher from Graz getting here to the point where she has to have the barrels moved, while Sigurjón is still fighting a bit. No, he's at the barrels as well. Driving through the barrels. Do not hit them, do not touch them. And get out of the bus, get into a bus. Out of the double-decker bus, getting into the electric bus. for the turn, for that tight turn. 12-meter buzz turning in a 15-meter square. And here she goes through. Well done, Helga. And it's the same for you. Come on, hurry up, time's running. Get out of the bus and hop into the next one. See, he's steering his bus in that square, going forth and back and forth and back. Sigurjón. She's quite relaxed, as it seems. Or confused. Could be both. Some people just look very relaxed when they're confused. And drive the bus into the square. Turn there. Almost on the spot. Turning a bus on a stamp. That's what it feels like to me. Or it would feel like to me. While Sigurjón is almost done with the turning. The last few strokes maybe, and then he should come out of there already. But do not hit any cones. What a precise work they have to do. See, getting up. There you go, he went through. And now slalom. Do not hit any cones. If you do at the slalom, you're out. Well, not out. Of course, you can go on with the challenge, but there will be no points for that challenge in that moment, for that discipline. And ooh la la. Here he is for the exact stop already, I guess. There you go. Last turn before you get to the exact stop. And on that platform, as I told you before, on the platform there's an arrow, and that arrow has to point precisely to the arrow that is in the back door. And the back door, here he comes. And when that back door opens, we will see how far they are apart from each other. How far. And the further the arrow inside is away from the arrow on the platform, the less points you get. But at least he gains some points. I cannot see anything from here. Looks a bit like maybe 250, but that is just guessing. So now he has to accelerate to 15 kilometers an hour. And again, without hearing the engine, because it's an E-bus, and without seeing anything, because you cannot look at the speedometer. There's some cardboard over it. While Helga is still fighting with the square and fighting to turn the bus, which I can fully understand. I would kill them all the cones, I would just run over them. I swear to God I would. Probably with a car already. And it's so hard work to get a big monster bus like that, 12 meters, turned on a square like that. And this is very, very narrow. Everything is just tight. But she did it. She's out of the square. And now going on the slalom. You have to go as fast as you can, of course. But in the same time, you're not allowed to touch any of the cones. Not the red ones, not the green ones, no ones. Because if you do, you lose all the points that you could gain in that slalom. And that's up to 500. So one last turn, coming for the exact stop here. While Sigurjón is driving his bus backwards already. He's on the third bus, getting the bus back already, and you can see he's fighting with it, fighting with the turns. But that looks good. Yeah, it looks good. He's very precise with the things he did. Really, it's impressive. You could see him. Doing the same thing when he turned that car in the spot. No, well, I'm not sure. If I say it didn't touch it, maybe that was just a lie, because from what I saw, from what I can see from here, it looks like he didn't touch it, but there are referees all around it, maybe he did touch it. But it was close. It was really, really close, and you can see how close he has to get that bus backwards through that very, very narrow lane. 3 meters, as I've told you before, it's 3 meters wide, and the bus itself is 255 already. So he has to go backwards now, backwards, 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 until you hit the light barrier. And after that, you are done. You can see the flag waving, and that was it. Iceland is done. Well done, Sigurjón Gunnarsson. That was a very good time. A very good time. I'm not sure, but I think it was the fastest that we have seen today. But there's still a lot more teams to come. We still have Paris, Oradea, Miskolc, Leipzig, Prague, Hamburg, Krakow. All of them are still waiting to show how good and how fast they can get through that parkour here. Well, Helga is in the third bus now, doing the backwards challenge. These are the next ones from Paris and from Oradea, Ludovic and Mariana. Romania against France. But we're not done yet. We're not done yet because Helga Rauscher has to get her bus back here. Driving backwards. Oh. And imagine that this would be a road, like somewhere with houses on the left and on the right, and you would have to steer your bus to that. That's what they do every day, and this is what I'm in awe all the time looking at that. But it's not only bus drivers, it's truck drivers as well, of course. But it's a wonder to me sometimes how precise they are steering those really, really big vehicles through narrow lanes like that. 3 meters is the space that they have, and 2 meters and 55 is the bus itself already. So there's not much space on the left and on the right. It's on 20 centimeters. And she's allowed to drive over the base of the cones. As you can see, they have special bases down there, and she's allowed to drive over that. And she's allowed to touch that, but she's not allowed to drive over the red ones on the sides, those small cones. And she's not allowed to touch the big cones while she's driving backwards. And I would be stuck by now. I would be stuck crying for help, but she's not. Coming there backwards, backwards, slowly, steadily. Not hitting anything by now. She still has to get out of that spin. And here she comes. Whoop. She's very focused, you can see that. And as I said before, it's different in a car, because in a car you can turn around. Maybe you don't see more, but it gives you more confidence. And you cannot do that in a bus. The only thing you can do is look to the left, look to the right. What is in your rear mirrors? And in here, it's more difficult because those cones they're not high. Maybe you cannot see them all in the mirror. But here she comes. Go backwards until you hit the light barrier. All you have to do is straight forward now. Straight forward, go, go, go. Until the referee waves his flag. Here she is. And bit more, he says, bit more, and you're done. Well done. Helga Rauscher is done. So it means the first team from Austria as well. Congrats. And now we're waiting for Paris. Paris in Oradea. We're waiting for Ludovic Lemoal and Mariana Mirella Plava. Hey. Next two bus drivers are waiting already. Let's see how they will do.
Time is X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
So, meine Damen und Herren, damit Sie mir nicht müde werden, eine kleine Quizfrage. Wir haben jetzt Paris und Oradea in Rumänien. Was meinen Sie denn? Wo wird länger Bus gefahren?
So.
Zumindest diese Busunternehmen, die hier heute dabei sind. Vielleicht mal per
They're on the road.
kurz abstimmen, ein kleines Zeichen. Was meinen Sie? Paris, wird dort länger Bus gefahren?
Oh. Here they come.
Oder ist es eher Oradea aus Rumänien? Dann sagen Sie bitte jetzt.
So,
Sie schwingen, Sie haben mich informiert.
one is going quite fast and the other one's going a bit slow. And funny enough, it's the man going slowly and the woman from Oradea, Mariana, going much faster. But she's used to be in tight spots because she says her hobby is beekeeping. And that is a dangerous hobby. So she's going through the barrels already. That was quite quick getting there. But I couldn't see if she has touched any of the cones on her quite fast way to that point. So she is leaving the first bus already. Well, Ludovic is not done with his lane with the double decker. Here he is, and now telling. Is he getting through there? That's quite narrow. But he's getting through there. And the closer they are together, those two barrels, the higher are the points you can gain. So maybe he get the same points for that as Mariana got for being that quick. We will see. Mariana is on the second bus already. Ludovic is sitting there as well. And Mariana is turning her bus on that very tight spot. So, checking the rear mirrors, adjusting the seats. This is what you have to do every time as well when you change your bus, because they don't have all the same height, of course, and they really, really need the mirrors. You have seen that in the challenge before, when they're going backwards, for example, and they have to do that all the time now, turning and turning and turning. Ooh, and Ludovic already hit one cone while driving in there. But he only loses points. It's not the same as in the slalom. In the slalom, he loses all the points when he just touches one of the cones. Here he just loses, if he just touches them slightly, it's 25 points. If he runs over one, it's 50 points that he loses. And they're neck to neck right in the moment. Turning the buses on a very tight square. It's 15 on 15 meters, if I've gotten that right. And the buses themselves, they're 12 meters long already. So there's really not much to maneuver, much space to maneuver. Backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards. And everybody who has driven his car into a tight spot and knows he has to get it out from there somehow, knows that this can be really a pain. It's the first time ever. This is the first bus driver championship ever, so they have no examples, and they didn't know what was waiting for them, and for that, this is fantastic what they're doing. I'm really impressed. So, Ludovic is out of that square, so made some time, and is in the slalom now. Do not hit any of those cones. Well, Mariana is still fighting, turning the bus, but never mind. They're still both in a very good time. Here comes Ludovic for his precise stop. Let's see how good he's doing here. The second door, there's an arrow in the second door, and that arrow has to face an arrow that is on the platform where he approaches now. And when the door opens, it should be facing each other. See, it's about, well, let's say 350. So it's 350 points. That was not that bad. Remember, he cannot see that arrow. He just knows where his back door is, and he has to stop there. Now he has to accelerate to exact 15 kilometers an hour without seeing, without hearing, because it's an E-bus. You don't hear the motor when you accelerate. So, and they've taken it by radar. And here is Mariana with the exact stop. Did quite well as well. That looks very good, just about the same result as Ludovic had. And they're still a bit neck on neck. There's not much space between that, not much time between it. And it looks like Ludovic is in the third and last bus already, going backwards. See, here they're standing. And Mariana has stopped her bus as well. There you go. Adjusting the seat. Well, Mariana is coming. And you have to adjust your seat very precisely in this bus because you have to go backwards here. Backwards, a very narrow lane, and it's a narrow lane. You just have to repeat it once again. It's 3 meters wide, and the bus itself is 255 already. And all you have is your feeling and two rear mirrors here. And it's worthwhile the time. It's worth the time that you take to adjust your seat, adjust your mirrors, because every cone you drive over, that is losing points. And it seems like Mariana is on her way already, and Ludovico is getting started as well. So it's still neck on neck. The first challenge, Mariana was quicker. The second, or the second bus with the second bus, Ludovic was quicker, and now Mariana's in the lead again. But this is not only about speed. This is about getting through that lane backwards without hitting the cones, without driving over them. And there you can see that, a very nice picture. Driving into the bend at almost the same time. Yeah, this is something I didn't mention here. It's not just a very narrow lane. There's a bend in the middle of it. 3-meter lane with a bend in the middle of it, and you're driving a 12-meter bus backwards. Just imagine that. And they're doing it. Okay, did he run something over? And they're doing it as fast as they can. This might look slow to you, but they're still doing it as fast as they can. That is a very nice picture that you can see that mirrored going backwards simultaneously. And Ludovico is in the lead again. That was well done on both sides. That was quite equal. So, and Ludovico from Paris is done with his first round. Well done here. He gets his well-earned applause. And Mariana is getting back here almost at the same time. And she's out of the bend already, just has to go backwards until she hits the light barrier. And then she is done here as well. Beekeeper Mariana. That was quite well done, and that was quite impressive to see how they were driving at the same speed at the same time, or almost the same speed at the same time. Very well done. Now we're getting ready for the next two teams. That is from Miskolc in Hungary, Istvan, and from Leipzig, Thomas. And keep in mind, this is just the first run. When we're done with all the teams, we're going to have a break. It's about an hour break, and then we're going to start a second run with the second member of a team, because every team has two members, one man, one woman. And the team members that you've seen now is only one of them. And we see the second team member in the second run. And we'll start in a reverse order, so the slowest or with the least points, with the least earned points from the first run, he's going to be the starter in the second run, and the best two teams from the first run, they're gonna run against each other in the second run, in the final run. So, Miskolc in Hungary. We have Istvan Borsos getting ready here. And from Leipzig in Germany, we have Thomas Koppe getting ready. But it's still Team Berlin that is in the lead here. That is very amazing. The first team, and the first team ever to start in a European Bus Championship, did the best so far. But we got 21 teams here competing against each other, and we haven't seen all of them.
Nochmal näher rangerückt an das Berliner Team als Reykjavik. Jetzt sind es tatsächlich noch 15 Punkte Unterschied, und da merkt man dann wirklich mal, also Berlin führt noch vor Paris und Reykjavik, und da merkt man dann, wie wichtig das tatsächlich ist, sauber zu fahren.
So it's Germany and Paris and Reykjavik. That is the actual ranking. The three top scored teams. It's Leipzig. No, it's not Leipzig. It's Berlin. I'm sorry. Leipzig is coming up next. It's Berlin. It's Paris and Reykjavik. These three are the best teams in the moment. But now it's Miskolc against Leipzig in Germany. Engines started. Istvan against Thomas.
Auf der rechten Seite vom Eingangsbereich guckend, Istvan Borsos.
And one is a bit carefully, and the other one is a bit faster, as it seems. No, that was just the first impression. They both know what they're doing. They both don't want to rush it. Here we get Leipzig, Team Leipzig in the first. So, see, that was, he drove over the base, and he's allowed to do that. If he only drives over the base of that cone, it's not hitting the cone, it's not actually touching it. He only drove over the base of it, and that's allowed. He can do that. He doesn't lose any points for that one. It's a narrow lane, keep it in mind. 3 meters for a 255 bus. So now he's at the end of the lane, almost, and there he has to tell those two helpers how far they have to or should be dragging those barrels. And the closer they are, when he drives through, not touching them, the more points he can gain there. So driving through the barrels, and he has to tell them how far they can be dragged from each other, and the closer they are when he drives through without touching it, the more points he will gain there. So this is going through the barrels without touching them. Thomas Koppe from Leipzig. Better go slow than hitting one of them. Oh, and that is very narrow. Is that too close? Oh, whoa, 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 that is really, really close. I cannot see it exactly from this angle, but it looks like, yeah, he is touching it. Okay. That's the first time that this happened. But that was brave, because the closer they are together, the more points you can get. So you have to try to get them as close as you can, while driving through there. And sometimes you have to risk something. That was quite brave. No points there, I'd say, but still, points in my heart for bravery for Istvan. Well done. So changing the bus already. Istvan is in the second bus, in the E-bus, adjusting his seat. Where is what? Closing the doors. Are you ready? Now we're turning that thing. Driving the bus into that very small square, turning on the spot. So they're both driving in there at almost the same time. Let's see how quick they can turn that bus. 12 meters long, 2 axles. Take the first turn, and for every cone they touch or drive over, they lose points. 500 points you can gain at that game or that challenge, that discipline. If you do all right and don't drive over anything or don't touch on one of the cones, the more you touch, the more you run over, the less points you get. If you just touch it slightly, it's 25 points minus, and if you run over it, it's 50 points that you lose in that moment. And it doesn't matter, by the way, how many strokes they use for that. It's not a matter of doing it, I don't know, smoothly. You just have to get it. You just have to turn the bus and drive out there safely without touching the cones. And if you use, I don't know, 25 strokes for that, it's up to you. No problem. And they're still both inside of the square, turning their buses. And it seems like Team Reykjavik is a bit quicker, but not Reykjavik, I'm saying. Miskolc. Team Miskolc from Hungary is a bit quicker, is out there already. So Istvan is in the slalom. Not allowed to touch any cones here, because different to the discipline here with the square, where you have to turn the bus around. He's not allowed to touch any of the cones, because otherwise you lose all the points you might gain in that discipline. It would be 500 as well. But he did very well. He's coming to the exact stop. The back door has to be at the exact spot on the platform, because there's a little arrow inside of the bus, just in the middle of the back door, and an arrow on the platform. And then we measure how far away is he from that platform as well, because that is the second thing that is turned into calculation. It's not only how exact or how precisely has he stopped the bus with the door, but how far away is he from the platform, because that is important when people want to go get on the bus or get off the bus. You're not allowed to be too far away, and you're not allowed to be too close to it, of course. So, well, Thomas is in the slalom now. Oh, he's working. You can see that. Whew. That seems to be hard work. That's a cool picture. Not touching any cones, because if you do, you lose all the points you could gain there. Now he's coming to the exact stop. Well, Istvan is in the third bus already, and coming to the discipline backwards driving. He's doing it already. Well, Thomas is here. How many points did he get? How far is he away from the platform? He gets the sign good to go. Now he has to accelerate up to 15 kilometers. That's a challenge that we keep forgetting here because it's somewhere in between and done so quickly. But you have to accelerate your bus up to 15 kilometers an hour without seeing the speedometer and without hearing the engine because it's an e-bus. This is an e-bus, and so you don't have any motor sounds while you speed up to 15 kilometers. It's all feeling. You have to feel it, and they measure it with radar. And while Thomas is running to his bus and getting inside of the bus, adjusting his seat, Istvan is almost done. It's coming back here, and every cone he hits just slightly is 25 points. Every cone he runs over is 50 points, but it seems to be doing quite well. And all he has to do now is go backwards, 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 and then he's done. And he stopped the bus at 8:14. 8 minutes, 14 seconds. We had better times, but the question is, did he gain more points than anybody else maybe, and will he jump to the first place? Very well earned applause here. Well, Thomas is still on his way, driving his bus backwards. And it seems he's on place 4 now. 4th place, yeah. Still behind Berlin and Paris and Reykjavik. And here we can see Thomas going backwards. And if he drives over the base of that cone, nope, that is a bit more than driving over the base. So that is 50 points. 50 points less now. But the next 2 drivers are getting ready. Oopa, Thomas is hitting another cone. But keep in mind, it's narrow, and they are nervous, they're excited, they're under pressure. And it's a 3-meter lane, 3 meters wide, and the bus is already 2 meters and 55. So you have, on each side, you have 22.5 centimeters to maneuver a very big bus, a 12-meter long bus. So this is the second cone he hits, as far as we can see in this challenge. That's 100 points less than he could gain when he would have had full points. That'll be 500. But now he should come and go, simply go backwards. No, he has to get out of the bend now. I see. So he went into the bend, and now he has to get out of the bend and then go backwards there. And he's not just losing points while driving over the cones, he's losing precious time. Because his opponent, Istvan, is done. Left the bus already. Feels the relief of having his job done already, while Thomas hits another cone. Yep. And here he comes. The only thing he has to do now is wait for the light barrier, and he's done. And Thomas from Leipzig has made his ride. And we're getting ready for the next drivers. Josef Seefranz from Prague and Andreas Jöllenbeck from Hamburg. So it's Czechia against Germany, Prague against Hamburg, Josef against Andreas.
Wie gesagt, das ist für uns alle hier komplett neu. Das sagt nichts darüber aus, ob man guter oder schlechter Busfahrer ist.
So, this is Team Hamburg, what we can see here. Andreas Jöllenbeck, waiting for the countdown, waiting to get started. And in the second bus, we have Josef Sefrans from Prague. Here, referees, the juries.
So, das Ranking. Wir gucken erstmal ganz genau rauf. Also, Berlin noch immer ganz oben, Paris an zweiter Stelle.
So here's the ranking for now. It's Berlin still. Then we have Paris and Reykjavik, as you can see all the time. And the second is Miskolc from Hungary, and Graz, Lodz from Poland, and the seventh is Leipzig by now. Well done to all the teams. And as hosts, it's a great honor for Team Berlin that they still are the leading team. We will see if they keep it up like that. But oh, here we go for the next challenges. The next teams are getting their countdowns. Prague against Hamburg.
2, 1, 0.
So let's see what those two can do. It's a bit funny that we have a countdown and putting up pressure, and then they have to take that double-decker bus so slowly into that narrow lane. But I can really understand it, because this is, as we have heard, not only from the expert at the beginning, but from the bus drivers as well. This is the most challenging discipline they have to go through. It's a double-decker bus. It's almost 13 meters long. It's more than 250 wide, and it's huge. And you have to drive it through a very narrow lane that's about 3 meters wide. And there's a bend in the middle. So it's not only a normal bus that you have to drive through there, but it's a double-decker bus. And not every bus driver is familiar with that. Not every bus driver has driven a double-decker bus until maybe yesterday, because all the bus drivers, they were allowed to go on similar buses that were used today. But what is one day to get used to a monster big vehicle like that and driving it through a very narrow lane like this? And not being allowed to touch any of the cones, not being allowed to drive over any of those. So, Prague and Hamburg still with their double-decker buses, and as you can see, braking every so often, and now they're waiting for the barrels. Team Prague is at the barrels already, as I can see, or is it Hamburg? So he's given the sign. This is yeah, it was Hamburg. This is the sign. No, it is Prague. I'm really sorry. I should work on my glasses. Yeah, so he gave the sign. This is the how he wants the barrel to be positioned, and the closer they are together, when he drives through without touching it, the more points he gets. So this is why Hamburg took a bit of more time. It seems like those barrels are a bit closer together, but you cannot have them too close, as we've seen from team, what was it, Ardea, I think? Or no, it was Miskolc. It was Istvan from Miskolc, and he was touching the barrels by driving it through. But you have to take a risk sometimes and put them as closely together as possible. Now adjusting the seat, adjusting the steering wheel, and Team Hamburg is done here as well. Andreas is leaving the bus, heading for the second bus, for the E-bus. And now they have to turn on a very tight spot. Turn the bus inside. They have to drive it inside of a very narrow square, and then turn the bus there. 12 meters long, that E-bus, and I think it's 15 meters to 15 meters. That square is big, or maybe it's 16 meters, but it's not that much that you have. That's much space to maneuver a big bus like that. And with every touch at a cone there, they lose points. Backwards again, going forward again. Not touching the cones, not running over them, but still turning that big bus. That looks quite smoothly what he does here. Although I cannot see who it is. That's a very nice shot, where you can see how they have to use their rear mirrors, and that's all they have. There's no camera for the back. There's nobody that helps. Nobody standing there going, yeah, you can go a bit. Come on, just a bit more. It's all in his feelings and his fingertips. And so somebody is getting out of there already, and they have to go through that passage here as well. And that's quite narrow. There you go. Well done. Well done here. And that is Team Prague that is on the slalom now. Do not hit any of the cones, because otherwise you lose all the points you could have gathered here and you could have gained here. And he's coming to the exact stop. Drive the bus up to that platform so that the back door opens at the exact spot where you want to have your passengers leaving. Ooh. And this costs some points as well, because you're not allowed to be too close to the platform. You're not allowed to be too far away from the platform as well, and not allowed to be too close to the platform. And when the back door opens, you can see those two arrows. One is in the side of the bus, and the other one is outside. And that looks more like 50 points. You could have gained 500 points if those arrows would have been facing each other exactly. But it's a hard task. Now he's going up to the speed test, while Andreas from Hamburg is going through the slalom and coming here to the exact stop on his side. Two teams competing against each other at the same time, simultaneously. In the moment, it's Prague and Hamburg. It's Josef and Andreas. Let's see how far he got his car and how exact he stopped. It looks a bit more exactly that he stopped with those two arrows, but he seems to be a bit far away, because that is taken into account as well. How far away or how close are you to the platform? Because that is important when people want to get off the bus or get on the bus, of course. So they measure that. While Josef is going backwards, so that means he left the E-bus already. He's on the third bus, driving a 12-meter diesel backwards, a very narrow lane with a bend in the middle. Not allowed to touch any cones, of course, because that would mean he would lose points. He's a bit in the lead, but not that much. Looks like maybe half a minute that he is in the lead. And that is a challenge where we can see most of the cones be moved or be touched or really ran over. But as you can see, moving that really big bus backwards here through that very narrow lane, that is quite impressive to watch. And it doesn't get boring, not to me at least, not to me. I could sit here and watch it all day. Wait, I'm going to do that. That is good. Here he comes. While Andreas seems to be stuck a bit, getting into the first bend, or getting into that lane here, to that very narrow lane. And Josef is almost done. And he looks quite confident when he does that. That's a pro. Wow. Going backwards until he hits the light barrier. And we're done. Very well done, Team Prague. Josef Seefrans, he is done. And that was quite well. It was 8:40, but I think he gained a lot of points. He left some points at the exact stop, but never mind, that's just one of the disciplines here. And we got 8 of them, so there were lots of points to be gained, and he did quite well with the driving backwards and turning the car. And you cannot see him now because he's just he's not on camera, but he's just passing by with his hands in his pockets, just strolling. He really seems to be confident. Juan Andreas is still a bit struggling here, taking his bus through the parkour backwards. Never forget that. A 12-meter bus backwards, not allowed to hit any cones or to drive over that little cones, that little hats that are on the sides. Better to go a bit slow, but safer, than to rush it. And keep in mind, if you do that in real life, if he does things like that in real life, it's much better to be slow and to be safer for everything and everybody around him. Because that cone could be, I don't know, a dog. And we don't want him to run over a dog. And they do that very well and very precise. So, that looks very well. Yep. Coming into that lane. And you can see the referees bending down, watching it very closely, watching it very tightly. Is he doing well? Is he running over anything? And all he has to do now is go backwards until he hits the light barrier and gets the sign he can stop. And then he's done. Drives home, or walks home in this case, with his points. Is he done? Did he get the sign? Yep, okay, he's done. Andreas from Hamburg, well done. So, this team is done as well. Very well done here. While we are waiting for Krakow and Brünn, or Brno, Piotr Wrobel from Krakow and Jana Kielanova from Brünn. These are the next contestants, the next pilots, I'd say, getting ready on the bus. Here we can see him, Piotr from Krakow. And here is Jana from Brünn. Now we're being a bit quicker now.
5, 4, 3,
Hear the countdown.
1, 0.
The next 2 teams are on the lane. The next 2 teams are getting ready. Piotr and Jana. Krakow driving the double-decker, the 13-meter double-decker bus into that very narrow lane. Upa. Piotr already having some problems getting into the lane. But maybe he's just very careful. Maybe there are no problems and that's the way he does it. As long as he doesn't touch any cones, he can do whatever he wants. And that looks quite good. He's getting into it. And quite quickly he has to steer into the first bend here. And he's not done when he gets out of the bend, because then he has the barrels moved. You can see those 2 barrels, those 2 blue barrels where that girl is standing. She's one of the helpers. And those 2 helpers, they move the barrels then. Or it's just 1 barrel. I think 1 barrel is steady and the other one is moved. And the driver himself, he has to say go further or not, because the closer those barrels are to each other when he drives through, This is what he has to do. When he drives through, those barrels are quite close and he does not touch it. The closer they are, the more points he gets. So he tells the helper when to stop. So he says, yeah, no, a bit more. That's it. That's it. This is how he wants it. Now he's going to drive through. Piotr from Krakow says this is how far he wants them to be from each other. And remember, Istvan from Miskolc, he was the first, and as far as I know, the only one who has touched one of the barrels. Now we have viewers here, a little one. One of the visitors here in Indira Gandhi Straße in Berlin. And it's quite crowded. We have quite a lot of people here, 15,000. We're waiting for them, it's estimated, but I cannot tell how many are here in the moment. But it's crowded around us. While Jana is driving her bus now through the barrels. And that is well done. Lots of space. But that means, of course, not so many points, because the further they are away from each other, those barrels, those two, the less points you get. So you have to see more or less how much space you would need for your bus. And keep in mind, it's a double-decker bus. It's really big. Well, Piotr is on the next discipline already. It's the third discipline, turning the bus in a very tight square. It's a very narrow square, and it's a 12-meter E-bus. So it's very silent. A 12-meter E-bus, he has to turn around. While Jana is getting her E-bus ready, driving into that square as well. And there's no rule how many tries they are allowed to take or anything. How many strokes, no rule for that. As long as they get the bus turned and without touching any cones, or at least touching as little cones as possible, then they can do that in the way they want to. They just have to turn that bus in there, and that is a challenge for itself. As you can see. Here comes Piotr. And Piotr seems to be ready with the turning, but we have to keep in mind that he still has to go through some to another lane here, while Jana is struggling a bit, getting the bus backwards. And here is Piotr on the slalom already. Oh, he had to stop. What happened? Did he touch one of the... No. Oh, I see. He missed. He missed. You see that green cone? So that is the part where he has... That's the path that he has to take. That's the path where he has to drive through. And he almost missed it. But he didn't. So I guess that counts. Okay. And now, taking the turn, going through those cones again, going through a narrow lane, taking another turn, and then he gets to the exact stop. Here he has to stop with the back door at on an exact point at that platform. Here you can see the arrow on the platform, and there is a... Ooh, that was too far. There's another arrow inside of the door, and that was not that well done. The second thing they have to measure there is how far is the bus away from the platform. If it's too close, you lose points. If it's too far away, you lose points as well. And Jana is still turning the bus. But never mind Jana. If it would be me, we would be here until Sunday evening. Maybe she's a bit nervous. You never know. Lots of people are watching her. Thousands of people there watching her. Well, Piotr is on the third bus already. He left the E-bus. He did the acceleration already because after the exact stop, he has to speed up to 15 kilometers an hour. And that's a task because it's an E-bus, as I said, you don't hear the engine while you accelerate, and you cannot see the speedometer because it's covered. So you have to feel how fast you're going. And what he has to feel in the moment is how to get a bus backwards through that narrow lane. It's about the same narrow lane that he had to take with the double-decker bus at the first challenge, but now with a different bus backwards. And that means there's a bend in the middle as well. Well, Jana is still trying to turn the bus. And it seems like she's coming out of that square now. Well, Piotr is still taking his bus backwards. And you can see here how slowly he goes and how slowly he takes the bus. And it's a very big vehicle. 12 meters long, 2 meters and 55 wide. Going through a 3-meter lane backwards with a bend in it. I cannot stress that too much. He has 22 centimeters on each side to steer that really big bus through that. And when there goes the first cone. Well, Jana is coming out of that square very slowly but steadily. And Piotr is out of the bend already. The only thing he has to do now is go backwards until he gets the sign to stop. When his bus hits the light barrier precisely, then he gets the sign to stop, and we're done. Yeah, Piotr from Krakow, Piotr Wrobel from Krakow. He is first to get here, and his opponent, Jana from Brünn, Jana Kiljanova, is still turning the bus. Yeah. She's not even at the half now. It's the third discipline. She's stuck a bit in the middle. Well, the winner of this round leaves the place. And Jana trying to get out of there. Trying to get her bus back on track. Now what is happening? So that's the hard thing for us now, because we're that far away from the buses. And the only thing we can see, that's the same as you see now, that she has a hard time to get the bus, to turn the bus. But in the meantime, we could take a look at the results. So it's Berlin still in the front, and Ludovic from Paris is in second place, Sigurjon Gunnarsson from Reykjavik on third, and we have Andreas Jöllenbeck and Thomas Kopp, so it's two more Germans on the top 10. Istvan Boros from Hungary was seventh. But that was just the drivers and not the teams themselves. Of course, in the moment it's both, because we've only seen one driver started yet, and Jana is still struggling. Oh, she is stuck. It seems that she is really stuck and doesn't. She seems not to get the bus out of there. anymore. Now what we're going to do now? I have no idea what we're going to do now. Look at my colleague here. Any ideas what we're going to do in this case? Never heard of that before, right? Okay. So we have to wait for the referees. Maybe we have to ask our top referee here. Where's Manfred Reinke? We have not seen him so far because we had no problems whatsoever, no big questions, but now Jana is stuck. We cannot get the bus out of there. And what are we supposed to do now? Maybe we can find Annie and Mr. Reinke somewhere to tell us how to go on here. Now it's waiting. Where is Annie? And where is Mr. Reinke?
Das kommt mir fast so ein bisschen vor, Sie erinnern sich vielleicht an dieses Champions-League-Spiel, damals Real Madrid gegen Borussia Dortmund, da ist das Tor zusammengefallen. Ja, das waren, glaube ich, 45 Minuten und diverse Preise für die beiden Reporter.
Now we have to wait. Nobody knows what to do now. But this happens when you do a thing for the first time. This is the first European Bus Championship that was ever done. Of course you get to points where you don't know what to do. And we never would have thought that we get to a point where a bus driver cannot get his bus further on. Jana is not able to turn that bus around and get out of that square. And I can fully understand it. I mean, I'm not the worst car driver in the world, but I'm not the best, so I do fully understand that it's a hard thing to do, getting the bus out of there. Keep in mind, it's 12 meters long, and that square is about 15 to 15 meters. And maybe we're coming to a conclusion now here. So Jana has got out of the bus. What are we going to do now? See, the referees are talking. Okay, it seems that Jana is out. Seems like this challenge has stopped now. And we are waiting for Mr. Reinke. Maybe to clear the situations. There's a referee coming up here now. And what are we going to do? Yep, somebody's taking the bus out of there. I mean, this is easy now. They're just taking away the cones and now he can get out of there. So, we have getting the path clear for the next teams, Stuttgart and Göteborg. Oh, now I can hear somebody was here and says the bus is broken. Here is
Also, sie hat's geschafft.
Wie wäre man denn da jetzt vorgegangen? Also Disqualifikation oder ist das gerade passiert und sie fährt gerade frustriert raus? Das ist auch gar nicht sie, das ist nicht Anna, das ist jemand anders am Steuer.
Also sie ist jetzt praktisch aus dieser Disziplin rausgenommen worden, weil Jana hat es halt nicht geschafft. Sie wird dann halt diese Disziplin mit 0 Punkten.
Okay. So we hear now that they say that
was bedeutet das für die Gesamtauswertung?
Jana didn't do it.
Ja, erstmal noch gar nichts. Da muss man am Ende, wenn sie volle Punktzahl bei den anderen Disziplinen bekommt, wird sie gut im Mittelfeld.
Okay. And they're driving the bus out of there and she's supposed to go on.
Eingerechnet, mit kalkuliert, dass man
She's supposed to go on. But there was a referee now that told us that the bus is broken.
Eine Aufgabe?
And
Möglich ist das natürlich immer. Bin mir zwar sicher, dass die Jana auch diese Disziplin hätte bestehen können, aber da kommt dann die Nervosität dazu.
okay.
Mich erreicht gerade die Nachricht,
Okay,
der
now,
Bus war kaputt.
now
Und
Annie
sie
gets
darf jetzt
the
noch mal
message the
fahren.
bus is broken.
Na, das
And
ist doch
Jana is
wunderbar.
supposed
Dann darf sie jetzt
to
nochmal
do
antreten,
that
dann
again.
drücken wir alle Daumen, dass
And
sie jetzt
Reinke
eine
says,
gute
yeah,
Verbindung
okay, well, that's a much
Weiß
better
jemand, was
message
mit dem
now.
Bus war? Weiß man das?
Now he's asking us, what's the matter with the bus?
Ich weiß mittlerweile, weil ich den zuständigen Juroren hier bei mir hatte. Also es ist tatsächlich, dass es vorher schon Probleme mit diesem Elektrobus gab.
Oh.
Beziehungsweise, pardon, mit diesem
And now we hear from my colleague,
das war jetzt eben
he
auch das
talked to a
Problem an dieser
referee.
Stelle. Das heißt, nicht Jana hat hier...
He talked to the referee, and there were problems with the bus already in the beforehand, and now it just failed. The bus failed somehow, and it didn't go on, and it didn't. Jana was not able to take the turns, so it was not Jana's problem, not at all. It was not Jana's fault. It was the bus's fault. And as it seems, Jana is allowed to go one more time. When I did get that, got that right. But I'm a bit confused as well. Welcome to the first bus championship. Things happen when you do things the first time, and this has not happened before.
Time is X minus 10.
So it looks like Jana's gonna start all over again. Or, no, it's the next one. It's Göteborg.
3,
Göteborg against Stuttgart, as it seems.
0.
So, und da machen es die Mädels unter sich aus. Also das hatten wir heute von den
Sonja
Frauen auch noch nicht.
Lochstampfer against Victoria Sweetie or Sweetie. I don't know, my Swedish is not very good. I can say, what can I say? I can say hey. Hey, yes. I think that was it, and IKEA. I'm sorry. So, Sonja out from Stuttgart and Victoria from Göteborg, they are doing their race right in the moment.
Aus Göteborg. Wenn der Schwabe auf den Schweden trifft. So, da geht's los. Da sehen wir Sonja.
So I was just talking to a referee and asked him what they're going to do about Jana now and what is going to happen because the bus broke down and she was not able to finish that round. And I was told that we're going on normally now, so with the next teams that are on the track already. It's Göteborg and Stuttgart. And after that first round, Jana is allowed to take another round and give it another go, because it was not her fault. Simply the bus broke down and she was not able to finish that round. But back to things that are happening. Actually, Stuttgart is here. That is Sonja driving her bus through the barrels and not having any problems at all. And Victoria is in her car, in her bus. It's not a car. It's a 12.7 meter double-decker bus. Heavy, tons heavy. And she's taken that to a very narrow lane with a bend in the middle. But Sonja is a bit quicker. She has left her bus already. And she's getting into her e-bus now, closing the doors. Good luck that this one doesn't break down. And she is taking her bus now into the square, where she is supposed to turn it. And do we have another problem? Victoria from Göteborg? No. She's just driving a bit slower. No problem here. Taking her double-decker to the narrow lane. And Sonja is turning her bus here. And she does that quite quickly. Hopefully she doesn't run over any cones and doesn't make any other mistakes. But it seems like she is she wants to have a good time. I guess she is having a good time. No, she just wants to have a good timing. While Victoria is still on the lane, on the narrow path. Now she's coming to to the two barrels, positioning the barrels, saying that is okay, that's where I want to have him. And now she's driving through. And again, those two barrels, they have to be as close as possible to gain as much points as possible. And this is very close, as it seems. Hula. We have seen it once. Seen it once that the barrels have been touched. It was Istvan from Miskolc. He's taken the risk, saying, no, no, closer, closer. And then it was too close and he hit them. But it seems like with Victoria it's all okay. And Sonja from Stuttgart, she's still turning the bus around. But that looks quite well because this is opposite the exit already. So all she has to do, all big brackets. That's a good run. Go girl! Well done. That was very quickly. So, and adjusting the seat. And now getting ready. Let's see how quick she is when she has to turn that bus. It's a 12-meter bus within a 15-meter square, from which Sonja is driving out already. You can see that here. Sonja's getting out of it, getting into that slalom, where she's not allowed to hit any cones or touch them even a bit slightly, because when you touch one of those cones inside of the slalom, all of your points for that discipline are gone. You can gain up to 500 points in here, but if you touch one cone, they're all gone. You're not even allowed to touch the base of it. So she's coming out of the slalom, one last turn, and then she comes to the exact stop. And it's a very small platform, as you can see, and she has to stop that very big bus right on spot. The back door has to be exactly in the middle of that platform. There's an arrow in the middle of the platform and an arrow in the middle of the door. Oh, that was well done. That looks like 400 to 500 points here, somewhere around it. Very well done. This is how you stop it. And the second thing they have to take into account is how far away is the bus from the platform. And now she accelerates. Now she has to go up to 15 kilometers an hour without hearing an engine, because it's a bus, it's electric, and without seeing the speedometer because it's covered. So you have to feel it. Are you going 15 or not? Seems a bit slow to me, but I'm not a bus driver. And they measure it with radar. There's a policeman measuring with radar, and she didn't wait for anything. She jumped onto the third bus already. So Sonja is on the third bus already, while Victoria is struggling a bit with the square. Ay, 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 that really looks like hard work. I like that girl. She's putting up a show, I like it. We've seen her running, and now we can see her staring and steering and swearing, as it seems. Yeah, she's fighting the steering wheel and fighting the bus. But keep in mind, it's a 12-meter bus on a 15-meter square. There's not much space and room to maneuver.
Victoria wendet mit allen.
And it doesn't matter how many strokes it takes. It doesn't matter if it takes 100 or 5. You cannot lose any points for that. All you have to do is turn the bus around within that square and get out of it without hitting too many or any of the cones. Well, as we can see, Sonja from Stuttgart taking her bus backwards already through a very narrow lane. It's 3 meters wide, as I have said before, and the bus is 255 already. So there's not much room there as well. And you have to drive it backwards without seeing anything. You just have your rear mirrors and that's it. And I think it's the first woman against woman contest here. Sonja against Victoria. And she is already taken her buzz, or she has already taken the buzz to that point where she only has to go backwards. Backwards until she hits that light barrier. And when she gets the sign to stop, she is done, and she has a very good time. Sonja from Stuttgart is done. This is her applause. While Victoria is still fighting her buzz. But it seems she's coming out of there now. See, here comes Victoria from Göteborg, getting her buzz through there. Slowly but slowly, slowly and steadily.
Und bei Victoria aus Schweden sind wir jetzt irgendwo zwischen Mamma Mia und Waterloo hier.
Oh, she's going back again. Where's she going? I thought she was coming out already.
Sie kämpft.
I thought she was coming out of that square already. But she is still fighting a bit. And it's a really huge steering wheel. A bit confused where to go. Through the cones. Miss Victoria through the cones. And here she comes. Now she's in the slalom. And the path is, the lane that she has to take is where the green cones are. The green cones are these are the inside. So wherever the green cone is positioned, this is the lane that you have to take. Without hitting or touching or driving over them. So,
Und dann bleibt noch zu fragen und zu klären, wie wir das genau machen mit unserer Jana aus Brünn. Da streikte ja der Bus gerade eben, sie war gut unterwegs und dann ging es mit dem Bus und
backwards again.
kriegt noch ihre Chance.
And it's always that left lane where they struggle with the e-buses. Maybe it is the e-bus. I guess we'll find it out. I'll guess we find out. Jana had the same problems just 10 minutes ago. And there we've been told that it was the bus that broke down. We hope that it's not the same here with Victoria. So here comes Victoria now, taking that last turn, I'd say, and coming to the point where she has to take the exact stop. No. This is a bit confusing. This is a bit confusing. I cannot understand what is so hard. But on the other hand, I'm not a bus driver. And all I would say now is very unqualified. Because I've never driven a bus. And I've never faced challenges like this. And here she comes. Oh, she looks under pressure. Come on, Victoria, it's just a game. It's just a challenge. Nobody will get fired. Maybe me, but that's okay.
Ich bin mir sicher, beim Best-of-Video dieser Bus-EM, dieser Gästen, da haben wir unsere Victoria gerne und oft im Bild.
Now Victoria is at the point where she has to make an exact stop. measuring where she did. Well, that looks quite good. You can see the arrow. There's a red arrow inside of the bus, inside of the door, and a red arrow on that platform, and they have to face each other. And now she has to accelerate to exactly 15 kilometers an hour without hearing the engine because it's an e-bus, and without seeing the speedometer because that is covered. So she has to do it by feeling. And then she's done with that bus and leave it and get into the last one and driving that bus backwards. Let's see how fast she's running now. And whoa! That is good. She's still there, and she's still motivated. She still wants to take that bus. Now she has to take that bus backwards. It's the same, or almost the same, narrow lane that we have seen taking her double-decker through at the first discipline, or the first challenge. Now she has to take a normal, a one-decker 12-meter bus backwards. It's the same lane. It's very narrow. It's only 3 meters wide, and she has to take it backwards through that lane with a bend. Well, it's not the bus having a bend, it's the lane having a bend. So, and here she comes. In the meantime, we can take a look at who's going to come next. It's Moscow versus Birmingham. Vladimir Grigoriev from Moscow against Liam Bishop from Birmingham. Well, Berlin is still in the lead, as it seems. But we have still four teams to come. And still one team out there, but taking the time in account that Victoria has already taken to get her buses through that course. Well, she's not losing any points by that point now, but she's not gaining any time points because you have to be under 8 minutes to get any points for your timing, for your speed. If you're getting through that course under 8 minutes, then you get points. And if you're slower, if you take longer than 8 minutes, you won't get any points. But you can gain up to 2,000 points. But that means you have to drive through here within 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And we have not seen anybody so far going much underneath 8. I think it's 7 something that was the quickest by now. But speed is not everything. Safety is much, much, much more important. And not hitting any cones. What she's doing right in the moment. Killing cones costs you 50 points. And every cone that you hit, every cone that you drive over, that is 50 points. And even if she does that every day, or, well, she doesn't do that every day, but driving a bus every day, that doesn't mean that you can be brilliant in a challenge like that. She is a very good bus driver. Do not forget that, because she was chosen to come here and to be part of that championship. And she was sent here because she is a very good bus driver. But this is something else. This is championship. Lots of people here watching her. Pressure. Being excited, being nervous. And it's still a 12-meter bus that you have to take backwards through a very narrow lane. And she is done. Victoria Swelty from Göteborg. Well done. That was a fight. That was one of the drivers you can really actually see fighting. You could see it on her face that she was fighting. Well done. So now, as I said, we're waiting for Moscow against Birmingham, Vladimir against Liam. And they are in the buses already and waiting to get started. So 4 more teams to come. And then the first run is done. And let's see if one of those guys can push Berlin from the throne. Berlin is still in the lead, was the first team to go on that course from all the teams, and is still #1 here. And I'm pretty sure we didn't have that. Well, of course not. This is the first European Bus Championship, but we have championships, we have tram driver championships, and I think wherever I went and whenever I heard something, the host was never within the top 3. So we have some problems here, because we're still waiting for Vladimir and Liam. We're waiting for Moscow and Birmingham.
Top 3 haben. Mit Berlin an der Spitze, 3.620 Punkte für Ronny Hölzel. Dann kommt
who do we got here? Haven't seen the sign yet. It seems to be Birmingham. It seems to be William Bishop. We're still waiting. Start the engine, gentlemen. And the sun is coming out, at least. It's still cloudy here, but the sun is coming out a little bit. We've been promised about 20 degrees today, and I can assure you we're far, far away from that. We're not at 20 degrees. Lots of people are here with heavy jackets and even some beanies on their heads, and I can fully understand that. But still a nice day. And who wants it to be very, very hot? I mean, if you're standing around here as a viewer or as when you're a driver and you're excited anyways, you don't need it hot and sweaty. I think this sweater is, for the competition, is perfect. Oh, here we get started. Here we get started. I can hear the countdown now. So, Moscow against Birmingham. Vladimir Grigoriev against Liam Bishop from Birmingham. Team 18 and 19. Team 18 and 19. Vladimir is a bus. He's been a bus driver for 18 years. Let's see how he handles that very big and very heavy and very wide double-decker bus here. You can be as best as a bus driver as you want. Competition is competition. And I don't know if they have double-decker buses in Birmingham or double-decker buses in Moscow. I have no idea. And I think driving one of those monsters, that is a challenge for itself already. So, who's coming here? This is Team Moscow. So this is Vladimir. Drive it a bit quicker than Liam does. Liam does it a bit more careful. And not wanting to hit any cones and not wanting to risk any points here. And Moscow, Vladimir is already here driving through those barrels. Oh, he had them torn apart quite widely. Just to tell it one more time, the closer those barrels are together to each other, the more points you can gain. When you drive through it without touching them or hitting them. So, Vladimir is in the E-bus already. Here we go. Now he has to take the bus into that square and then turn it. inside of the square without hitting the cones.
Jetzt auch Liam.
Here.
Jawohl, schlauer Schlitz.
And here we can see Liam running to his bus. They're quite fast runners, all of them. They're quite fit sportsmen. Here we go. And Vladimir is turning his bus already.
Das ist Ergebnis. 12 Meter lang.
While Liam is taking his bus into the square now.
Als erste Disziplin immer das Lenken, was da gefragt ist.
So, no idea who that is right in the moment. That is Vladimir. And oh, he's at the exit already. That was quick. He's at the exit already, driving his bus out of the square already. But he has to go through those two cones right there. Those. Oh, well done. Well done. Wow, that was fast. Now he's driving into the slalom, where he's not allowed to hit any of the cones. Ooh, what is he doing? Wow. Well, he wants to know. Okay, but, well, that was well done. He was not hitting any of the cones. Coming to the exact stop now, where he has to stop the bus with the back door exactly at the middle of the platform that he approaches here. The back door, the middle of the back door has to be in the middle of the platform, then you gain the most points. There's an arrow right inside, you can see that here, and it points to where it is, about 450. That is quite well. It could be less, I cannot see it exactly from this angle, but well done. Now he has to speed up, to accelerate to 15 kilometers an hour without seeing the speedometer and without hearing an engine, because it's an e-bus, so there is no engine, or not an engine that you can hear. Of course, there's an engine in there. And he's done with that, while Liam is still turning his bus, trying to get out of the square. I have to say that Vladimir was really quick with that. He has already entered the third bus and taking the diesel backwards, while Liam is fighting. And here we can see Vladimir on the last discipline taking the bus backwards, and he's driving already towards that bend. And here you can see it. Here you can see it. It's about 20 centimeters on each side that you have to maneuver that bus through that lane and into the bend. While Liam is still fighting, you can see it here, he's sweaty a bit, still fighting to turn the bus around and get the bus out of that square. And again, it's the bus on the left lane. So, going backwards. Here you can see Vladimir. Oh, and Liam is there. Liam is in the slalom now, while Vladimir is on his last centimeters. And he is done. Wow, that was a very good timing. 6:18. That was the quickest round that we have seen so far. Vladimir Grigoriev from Moscow. He was very quick, taking some risks. That was okay. And Liam is still on the lane, but Liam is doing quite a good time compared to all the others. And Moscow is taking the lead. Moscow is taking the lead, gaining so many points, and was so quick But Moscow is in the lead now, ahead of Berlin. So I told you, everything can happen now. Well, Liam is coming to the point for the exact stop. Here's the door. Door opens and where are we? Very well done as well. 400 points. See that here? And that is not easy. And the second thing that we have to do is the woman in the front is trying to keep herself warm. I just told you it's a bit cold here. And dancing seems to be very appropriate. And now speeding up to 15 kilometers an hour without seeing the speedometer, without hearing an engine, because it's an electric engine and you don't hear that. And yeah, he's coming out, changing the bus for a last time. And he knows that he has lost that round because Vladimir was much, much quicker. But it's still a good time that he has compared to the others. But Vladimir was just shockingly quick. 6:18. That's the fastest round that we've seen so far. And now he's taking that bus backwards through that narrow lane. Let's see how fast he's taken that. He's going a bit faster than Vladimir did. But I can assure you, you will not catch him. And here you can see how narrow that is, how close he has to get to that cone here. And how tricky it is to get that bus, that really big bus around that corner. Wow. Inch by inch. Well, I can see the last two contestants getting ready. It's Steve Silva Morea from Rotterdam and Ralf Lippold from Zurich. These are the last teams, teams 20 and 21, last teams for the first round. And then we'll take a short break after that, and then we'll see how the second run goes. And the second run starts with the team that gained the least points, and will end with the teams that gained the most points. In the moment, that would be Moscow and Berlin, but as I said, Rotterdam and Zurich are still to come. You never know what might happen. And he comes. He's quite quick and quite precise. Wow. Here he comes. And he still has a good time. But he's, I would say, 2 minutes behind. And that was it. Well done for Liam Bishop from Birmingham. Guess he is a bit disappointed, but you shouldn't, because nobody would have thought that Vladimir or any driver would take that round, that course, so fast. Wow. So, now it's Steve Silva Morea from Rotterdam, doesn't sound that Dutch, and Ralf Lippold from Zurich. The last two teams that are about to start. The last two teams that are going on the lane. Team 20 and 21 we have now. So, guys are ready, and we can hear the countdown. And again, everything can happen. Moscow and Berlin are in the lead, but that can change in a couple of minutes. The last two teams are on the road.
Hier auf der rechten Seite Team Rotterdam, also ich sag's gerne nochmal, das ist jetzt der letzte reguläre Durchgang vor der Pause, danach dann nochmal eine Chance.
What happened?
Für Jana Kiedenauer.
That is team Rotterdam, Steve on the left, and Ralf from Zurich on the right side. They even brought somebody with a Swiss flag there. So, Zurich getting the double-decker into the lane, getting it on the road. Oop, that looks quite close to that. Let's see what it's doing. Ooh, yeah, it is. Okay. That'll be, I think, 25 points in that case, because he didn't drive over it and he just pushed it a bit, pushed it slightly. So that's 25 points less. But he's still on track. Everything is fine. And they're a bit neck to neck. Both still on the lane, still trying to get their double-decker buses through the big. Wow, they really have fans here. That's a bit unfair. Wow. See, now he's adjusting the barrels. He says, this is okay. This is how far I want to have them from each other. Now driving through. And again, the closer they are to each other, those barrels, when he drives through without touching them, the more points he can gain there. So come in here, come in here, come in here. Done. So, Ralf from Zurich is leaving the bus already, running to the second vehicle he has to drive, running through the E-bus, while Steve is still in his first bus. So, there we go. Ralf is driving his car now. His bus now into that into the square where he has to turn. Driving in there forward, getting out there forward. And that means you have to turn your bus around completely. I mean, it's a 12-meter bus within a very tiny square. So Steve is trying to get through that. What is that? Is he hitting it? That's like driving through a gate. But in this case, he can tell how big this gate is supposed to be, because he tells the helpers where to position those barrels. And but he went through there quite well. But he lost some time there. Lost some time. Now he has to hurry up, because Ralf is in the square already and is halfway through turning his bus around. And he seems to be confident. Run! Forrest! Yeah. And now he has to take maybe a bit of a risk. Doing it a bit faster. Maybe risking, I don't know, 1 or 2 cones that'll be 50 to 200 points. Wow! And it seems that Ralf is coming out of the square already. He's coming out of the square already, getting into the slalom. That is quick. Maybe we'll see Berlin slipping down further the lane of champions. Because when Ralf is keeping up that speed, he'll be in a quite well positioned. What is? Oh, this is. I see. This is Steve turning his bus. I'm sorry. Turning his bus around, struggling a bit. Exact stop. Oh, that was not that well done. No points here. No points for Ralf Lippold. No points for Team Zurich at that point, but maybe for not being too close away and not being too close to that platform, because that you can get some points there as well. Now he's speeding up to 15 kilometers an hour without seeing and without hearing the engine, without seeing the speedometer. But he's That's a very good time for him. For Ralf, leaving the second vehicle and getting onto the third bus already, a 12-meter diesel, which he has to drive backwards through a very narrow lane. You can see that one here. It's 3 meters wide, and the bus is already 2 meters and 55. So if my math is correct, it's about 22 centimeters on each side to maneuver a very big bus backwards through a very narrow lane with a bend in the middle. So he has not only to maneuver through a lane, but the bend as well. And you can see those little cones there that mark the lane. He's not allowed to touch them with the tires or anything, but he is allowed to steer the bus in a way that the overhang of the bus is over those little cones. So if the overhang of the bus is over them, nothing will happen, but when he touches them, then he loses points. But I believe that Moscow and Berlin are not in danger here for being the top teams in the moment, because as quick as Ralf Lippold has turned his bus on the square, as much time he needs now to drive his bus backwards, and he will never gain the time that Vladimir did, which was a crazy time. 6:18 is really a crazy time. I believe we will not see a time like that again today. And here we can see Steve coming out of the square, getting into the slalom, and you can hear the whistles from the Swiss fans here accompanying the bus. You can see them here from our place with hats and flags and everything. Yeah, there they are. And Ralf is done. Team Zurich, Ralf Lippold, well done. That was a very good time as well. But I'm pretty sure Moscow and Berlin are not in danger. Here he comes. Quite relaxed. While Steve is getting to the exact stop. Approaching the platform now here with his bus. Measurements are taken. Well, at least 200 points, where Ralf Lippold didn't get any. And the position of the bus itself to the platform seems to be quite well, too. So it's not allowed to be too close, not allowed to be too far away. Speeding up to 15 kilometers. While you cannot see the speedometer because it's covered, and you do not hear an engine because it's an E-bus. Now stopping the bus, getting to the third vehicle, to that 12-meter diesel bus, he has to take backwards to that narrow lane. Ralf is already done, and we're only waiting for Steve Silva Morea, and then the first run is done, and then we'll take a look at all the results, get an overview, where is which team after the first run, and then we will see, know which teams are going to start the second run, and which teams are playing the finale. So here comes Steve, getting his bus backwards through the lane. Maybe he's just enjoying the show because he's the last of the lane. Everybody is watching him now. These are your 15 minutes. No, that's not true. He is a champion already. He's one of 21 drivers chosen to be in a European Championship. The first bus European Championship ever in the world and in Europe.
verfolgen wir es. Silva Moreira auf seinen letzten Metern Bus EM 2018.
And again, when he drives over that base of that cone, nothing will happen. No points are taken from him, but he's not allowed to hit the cone itself. Only using his rear mirrors, nothing else. There's no camera while driving backwards. No helper. People around him you can see they're only referees. If he does something wrong, they don't support him, they write it down, which is a bit mean. So he's coming out of the bend already. Coming out of the bend now. The last few turns. And the first run of the first European Bus Championship is history. Only a couple of minutes. Here comes Steve from Rotterdam. Come on, Steve. You almost did it. Well done. Not hitting anything. Didn't run over any of those little red cones. Didn't touch any of the little green cones. And getting this bus to the light barrier. Only a couple more seconds until he gets the signal that he can stop the car, the bus, and the engine. And Steve Moreira from Rotterdam, that was it. That was the first run of the Bus European Championship. All of the 21 teams are done, and the dummy team as well. And here we can see Vladimir Grigoriev from Moscow, Ronny Hölzel from Berlin. These are the top two drivers. Then we have Ludovic from Paris, Sigurjon Gudnason from Reykjavik, Sonja Lochstampfer from Stuttgart, Andreas Joddenbeck from Leipzig, Ralf Lippold from Zurich. So these are the results for the first 7 teams, or the first 7 drivers to be more precise. Because that will change, maybe.
Jetzt, also ich habe es angekündigt, sehen wir doch mal das Schildchen der Stadt Brünn aus der Tschechischen Republik.
Oh, and right, we're not completely done because, yeah, my colleague just reminded me, Jana from Brünn is getting her second chance because the decision was made, as it seems the bus was not correct, or something was wrong with the bus, so Jana is allowed to repeat her run. Go, Jana. Here we go.
Für Jana Kilian nochmal, die konnte einem ja wirklich leid tun, da vorhin im 8. Durchgang auf einmal hing sie.
So,
Und es war
let's see if that second run of hers is getting better now, and if the bus will work as it's supposed to, and maybe she will. Maybe she now she knows a bit what she has to do, and the pressure is a bit less. But maybe the pressure is more because she knows, whoa, failed once, don't want to fail a second time. So well, she knows that part. She did that already. And, she's through that first bend, as it seems already. No, she's in the middle of the bend, getting her double-decker bus out of it, which is fascinating. I mean, it's a really, really big vehicle. You only have one driver going through there. It's only almost 13 meters long, tons heavy, 2,50 meters, a bit more than 2,50 meters wide.
Wir haben zwar noch keine Kamera auf uns, aber wir können trotzdem schon reden. Herr Reinke, was war da los?
So, now we're trying to
Folgendes,
clear again.
Der Elektrobus schaltet die Servopumpe nach 3 Sekunden automatisch ab. Letzten Endes war die Jana einfach zu langsam. Man muss immer ein bisschen Gas geben, damit die Pumpen wieder aktiviert werden. Das konnte man ihr aber in dem Moment auch nicht so richtig erklären.
Oh, okay. So there was a problem with the servo
Dann ist sie
pump.
aber wahrscheinlich die
Is it
einzige
called,
von
or
allen,
is
die,
it
das,
said?
die da langsamer war?
I don't know if there's
Aus
a
Nervosität oder
precise
was?
English word for
Das wurde
that.
gestern schon so erklärt. Den Elektrobus kannte ja keiner, das wurde schon so mitgegeben.
So it was the first time
Aber
that the drivers were
manchmal
driving
ist,
e-buses.
Schwedisch ist eine schwere Sprache
And,
oder Tschechisch ist sie ja. Ne?
And
Einfach die Aufregung. Ja, Tschechisch, genau. Aber
Und wenn es dann nicht so richtig funktioniert, ist man aufgeregt und dann funktioniert es sowieso nicht mehr.
verstehe ich total.
okay.
Finden Sie das denn
So
jetzt
you have
gerecht,
to
dass das so entschieden wurde, dass Sie
accelerate
noch eine
once
Runde haben
every
darf?
once in a while with the
finde
e-bus. You have
schon
to
gerecht, weil,
push the accelerator
sind ja auch zum Spaß hier.
so that the
Und wir
servo
wollen ja nicht
pumps are working.
Menschen
And if you
frustriert
do
nach
not
Hause
do that
schicken.
for 3
Sehe ich
seconds,
ganz
that
genauso.
what Mr. Reinke just explained, if you do not do that for 3 seconds, those pumps are switched off.
Wir
And then
drücken
you
die Daumen
cannot
jetzt, Herr Reinke.
turn the
Jana!
steering wheels.
Wir drücken ganz doll die
Cannot
Daumen,
turn the
Jana gibt
steering wheel
Gas.
anymore.
Gib Gas.
It's
Und
very,
schalte
very
schneller,
heavy
Mensch.
to turn the steering wheel in that moment. So you have to accelerate somehow. And it was very hard to explain it to her. And yesterday was the first time ever for her to drive that bus. And so she probably forgot that there's that you have to speed up every once in a while, or even at least kind of touch the accelerator so that the pumps are switched on again, and the steering wheel is free and you can steer. So this is exactly the situations we had before. The situation we had before, that she is within the bus, and the bus is standing too long. And when it stands for more than 3 seconds, those pumps are switched off, and they need a bit of time to be switched on again. And hopefully she keeps that in mind now, because that gave her the feeling that the bus was broken. And I can understand that. If yesterday was the first time she has ever been on an e-bus like that, and you have that specialty in it that you really have to accelerate every once in a while, or the servo pump just switches off, and that means that it's really, really heavy to turn the steering wheel, and then you get the feeling that something is broken and something is wrong. And I think that was the case with her. So it was not the bus, but it was something on the bus or with the bus that she didn't keep in mind, and nobody was able to tell her that in that moment, which is understandable. And I think it's quite fair that she's allowed to do that run one more time. So here, but this looks much better than it was before. And here she comes out of that square now. Feeling much more confident, I guess, because she knows it's the only thing that you have to do is push the accelerator a bit, and then everything works again. So, here she's coming out of the square. And getting into that slalom now. And she's out of the square. Okay, so now she's proven she can do that if everything works all right, and she doesn't get the feeling that the car is the vehicle is broken. And she's in the slalom already, not touching or not hitting any of the course. Very good. Taking another round. Getting through that narrow place. And getting to the point where she has to perform an exact stop. And don't get the bus too close to the platform, because that costs points as well. And the back door has to be exactly at that point where the arrow is. It's not, but it's not too bad as well. People could get off the platform. This is what is measured. And it was not too far away and not too close. So the position of the bus to the platform was quite good. Now she has to speed up to 15 kilometers an hour without being able to see the speedometer, and without hearing the engine because it's an E-engine, an E-bus. And yep. Now she has to get off the bus, switching into the last vehicle. Well done so far, Jana. Well done. That's a good time, I could say. It's not a bad time. Now, taking the car backwards, or the bus. Taking the bus backwards, it's a 12-meter bus, 2 meters and 52 centimeters wide. And the lane where she's going through is only 3 meters backwards, with a bend. And here she comes.
Abstand kleinste Fahrerin hier im Feld aus Göteborg, die musste dann erstmal so ein bisschen rangieren und gucken, dass überhaupt der Sitz richtig eingestellt ist, dass sie überhaupt übers Lenkrad drüber gucken kann.
Here she is. Getting closer and closer to the bend. This seems to be the easy part for the bus drivers. I would fail at that one already. And now don't hit the cones. Oop, that is quite close. But she's allowed to drive over the base of the cone. I said that already. If she only hits the base of the cone, no problem, no points taken away from her. If she hits the cone itself, touches it, drives over it, touching is 25 points that you have to pay for that, and driving over it is 50 points. All in all, you can gain 500 points in that discipline as well, and the more cones you kill or touch, the less points you get out of there. And of course, this is taking time now.
Wie sie das nun zustande gebracht haben. Also gleich die Top 3, dann unsere Head-Track-Show, unsere Band, Eric and
So, here she's coming to the bend. Last driver for today. And then the first run is done, finally. I know I said it already, I said it's history, but hey, who am I? Who told you to listen to me? I'm getting bad comments now, I know that. So, here she comes.
Also rüberfahren, unten auf die Platte sozusagen, darüber, das ist völlig okay bei den Hütchen. Punktabzüge gibt es fürs Berühren, also wenn oben der weiße Bereich touchiert oder irgendwie kontrolliert wurde, dann gibt es 25 Punkte und beim Überfahren, das aber auch das ist dann 50 Punkte gezogen werden.
What a nice shot. You can see that precise work she has to do to get that bus through that narrow lane to the bend, out of the bend again. It's millimeters. It's not even inches, it's really millimeters. And as I said, you have to, if you touch the base of the cone, that's all right. But see, it looks like the tire is going to run over the base of that cone now, and that is perfectly all right. Yeah, see? No points taken from her there, because she didn't touch the cone itself. Ooh, maybe she will. No, she doesn't. Well done. Millimeters, inch by inch. She's getting there. And now all she has to do is drive backwards safely until she gets the sign to stop. And then all of the 21 drivers has reached the end zone. Ooh, carefully, carefully. Carefully, carefully. And there it is, the sign to stop. And a big round of applause. And all the drivers are done now. Very well done. And Jana's very proud of her. She should be. Very, very good. So let's see if we can get result overview of all the results. It's still Moscow, Berlin, and Paris. These are the top three. And that means Moscow and Berlin. These are the ones that are going to race against each other in the second round, in the second run. Because we're going to start the second run with the teams that with the two teams that gained the least points. And here we go. So it's Moscow, Berlin, Paris, Reykjavik, Stuttgart, Brünn, and Hamburg to place 7. Then we go for Zurich, Leipzig, Birmingham, Miskolc, Uber. And it's a 260 points lead for Moscow. And Berlin and Paris is quite close. Ooh, that's quite close. So now it's Zurich, Leipzig, as we said, Birmingham on 10th, Miskolc, Graz, Rotterdam, and Lodz on place, it's on 14th. And so the last 7 teams, let's see who is the one that gained the least points. It's Milano, Budapest, Madrid, Prague, Göteborg, Oradea, and Krakow. So it's Krakow and Oradea who are probably going to start the second run. Maybe it's Krakow and Team Dummy. We will see that because, as I said, we got 21 teams, but we need 22 teams if they all want to start simultaneously.